Did you found the BSC group?
Actually, I'd have to say that it was founded by Philip Jackson.
Okay.
He was at least the initiator of forming the Black Star Community PTA. As when it was actually chartered, myself, Joanne Burrell, Priscilla Dixon, and Alnita Tillman, the founding members, the founding board members for the Black Star Community PTA.
How long has the Black Star Project been in existence?
Well, the Black Star Project itself has been in operation for about 13 years. It's been about 13 years.
And why did you choose to become a part of it?
Well, I've seen the works for the Black Star Project. I was receiving emails that circulate fairly regularly. I was not on the email list, but people would recirculate. So someone would send you the email, you find information interesting, and then you forward it on the other people. So in that way, I was kind of seeing and hearing about the work that was being done through Black Star. But I'd have to say that I got involved 6 months ago because of certain family circumstances. My family's been affected by violence. Black Star is working to eradicate violence through education.
Absolutely.
It's so many different facets and so many different things that lead a person to be violent or aggressive to another person. But I do believe that education is a way to change the tide, to hopefully give people hope and inspiration to do better with their lives.
Absolutely. And since your participation in the group, what changes have been made?
Well, I've become involved. I joined because of an initiative called the League of Black Parents.
Okay.
And parenting just really kind of hit home and resonated with me because that's where I have been focusing most of my attention for the past 13 or 14 years. So, and as I got involved with League of Black Parents, the opportunity to be involved with the Black Star Community PTA developed. And for me, that's kind of, it's groundbreaking in a sense. It's nothing that's being done here in Chicago, taking the PTAs out of, or them being able to focus on issues and being outside of a traditional school structure has been helpful. And I think that we've been able to impact people around issues, specifically violence, specifically encouraging parents to be more involved and engaged in education, and using the PTA platform to promote education, health, and safety. So it's been valuable in that regard. I just think we're reaching and touching more people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what is the sole purpose of the group?
When you, specifically Black Star Community PTA, its purpose is to function under the mission of the National PTA, which is to be an advocate for children, parents, and families, essentially. So any issues that arise around education, around the health and safety of children are issues that we're willing to evaluate and stand up for.
All right. At the meeting, you said that the proposal was progressive to a certain degree. What did you mean by that?
Well, in realizing that the board has certain challenges and trying to adhere to the judge's decision of vacating the consent decree, I think that, considering different models and having to figure out a different way to try to balance the schools was progressive. That was progressive. It was something we hadn't seen here before. Considering socioeconomic factors, it's different. It's progressive. It's a new take on things. Just not certain that all of the factors that go into determining a student's points or ranking necessarily favor students, African American students.
Okay. And what are your concerns about the plan?
Well, specifically, initially, what we've designed is a 6-point plan that kind of describes the fact primarily that parents were not included in the process. And when you look at those people who might have been at the table making decisions, I really don't feel that there was any one entity that represented African American parents. When you look at the program, some of the socioeconomic criteria, and it speaks specifically to bilingual abilities, that certainly eliminates African Americans. When you're not talking about race, but yet you potentially choose things that are exclusive to a particular race or culture, it definitely speaks to the fact that we didn't necessarily have representation at the table. So that's offensive to me as a parent and a black parent. Secondly, we don't feel like the CPS really did good outreach. They hosted the 6 town hall meetings. We really feel like those were already established. The decision was already established as to how the program was going to be implemented. The town halls were kind of an obligatory gesture that the CPS held. I'm not certain that the concerns that truly came out of those town halls are actually going to be placed into any amended proposal. I just don't, at this point, we don't necessarily have the trust relationship with CPS to truly advocate for all parents' rights. We don't know that they'll be considerate of everybody if you're not constantly in their face and constantly complaining about it or making your demands heard. The other points that we have listed on our action sheet is that the policy itself is a bit complicated. Parents don't fully understand it. You can't necessarily conceptualize where your census tract is, what suburb you're going to be placed in. Those kind of factors, it's a little sketchy. So we just feel like there's something missing there. It could have been simplified. It should be simplified. It should be that you can go immediately to a website, plug yourself in, and see at least your socioeconomic criteria. That shouldn't change. Obviously, the student has to still score. The student has to still have ISAT scores and things of that nature. But it should be an easy one-step process to figure out that socioeconomic component that they want to push on us. Well, the fifth point should probably be the biggest point, and that's that we really wouldn't be completely overly concerned about the selective enrollment schools if our students had more substantial options throughout the district. Because schools in marginalized communities are failing, we have students performing at 1 to 2 or 3% of students are at or above grade level. That's very dismal. It's not a sufficient enough pipeline to be preparing kids to actually compete for these spots. So what we're feeling is that if you're middle class or well off, then you're going to make sure that your student is getting the resources that they need to be able to compete for one of these spots. But we're not going to be able to see enough African Americans compete for these spots because the rest of the schools are insufficient.